Live from the City of Angels here on this Sunday morning. You know what? It's breaking box office, and it is the biggest story we have had in eons here on the show because we've talked about the last several days. Could be the end of the MCU as we knew it. We discussed this film going down in flames, and it's happened. The Marvels has bombed with $47 million debut. That's it. That is the lowest MCU opening ever, and you know it's bad when the trades are even like, this is terrible. 47 mil, which is one of the worst. I mean, you look at this and you look at all of the MCU films, and you are just literally in awe of how horrible this is. We knew this film was in trouble going back over 6 months when I had the stream saying maybe, just maybe, Marvel should consider Batgirling the Marvels because this film was dead. We were right. We're always right. It's what we do here on MMT. And you look at the difference here. The global start, 110 million. That's when you throw the global in. And then the global on Captain Marvel is 190. But we know stateside over 100. This is disastrous. Obviously, I'm stating a bunch of very obvious facts, but I'm going to show you some stuff here in a second that you probably haven't thought about as we get into the numbers. Let's go and look directly at the Disney email, which, by the way, is barren. Typically, these things have all kinds of glowing stats, and look here, it did this, it did that. This is really scaled back because they know it's terrible. 110.3 million global, 47 domestic, 63.3 international. MCU films have grossed nearly 30 billion globally from 33 movies. That's what we're talking about. Let's misdirect. This is terrible, but look, we've made $30 billion. Let's continue along here because this is interesting. When you look at this, the numbers is not good either from the Rotten Tomatoes. 85% is not a great number from Rotten Tomatoes. The B cinema score is terrible for a family film, right? You want to see that cinema score lower than an A-. That is significantly worse than you typically see. You're looking at an Eternals grade at that point. The one thing I really want to point to before we get into more of the under the hood numbers, look at the demographics. For everyone that said no men want to see a female-led movie with superheroes, clearly look here, 61% male, 39% female. The problem was the women don't want to see it. That's the problem. The problem isn't the men. The problem's the women here. General audience, 83%, parents, 10%, kids, 7%, and there's all the breakdowns. And by the way, when I saw the film on Thursday, I told you guys on the stream, it was a lot of older dudes. Look, 45 plus, 19%. This is not Five Nights at Freddy's, which was all younger. This is a little bit of everything, but the number's so terrible that no one even wants to talk about the demographics. International, across Europe, Marvel's amassed 21.1 million. That's not amassing much. Oh my God! Across Asia Pacific, it's amassed 33.7 million. Let's go and let's look at this. China was number one with 11.7 million. UK with 4.3. Here's what I want to put it up against. You guys ready? Here's the email from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Midness. Opened number one in all markets to an estimated $450 million global weekend. Do you guys listen? At 110.3 for the Marvels. And Multiverse of Midness was 450 million, including 185 domestic. So you're talking about over a 4x multiple, essentially, roughly 4x. On Multiverse of Midness versus the Marvels. How far has the MCU fallen within a year and a half, right? It continues to fall. I mean, this is the end, isn't it? Deadpool 3 is a whole different deal. But as far as them trying to boot up new characters, Eternals, Shang-Chi was successful, but then what happened to Shang-Chi? Disappeared. What? These people show up and they're gone. That's the other issue. Continuity. At least have Shang-Chi show up in the Marvels. Then I might have been more interested in the film. Instead, we get the cats eating everybody and regurgitating them out. Well, that's fantastic cinema. High art right there. This is just unreal. Reading this Multiverse of Midness email from a year and a half ago is just like obviously night and day versus what we were looking at this weekend. Let's go to Thor Love and Thunder email just for the heck of it. Let's see what that did. 302 million worldwide global. So that's roughly 3 times as much, and you guys hammered Thor Love and Thunder. 143 domestic. It's over roughly 100 million more stateside. This is crazy. This is Thor Love and Thunder. But we're still dropping, right? You guys noticed that. Multiverse of Midness, we dropped 100 and what was it, 150? 150 million down roughly versus Thor Love and Thunder, and now we're down to 110 million. People are done with comic book movies. I've been done with comic movies forever. I don't know how these channels continue on and on when all they talk about is comic book shit, like your boy Soups. I can't. You talk about people who have no business with the audience they have. Apparently, people want to talk about CBMs all day. Did you see that weird character in the background? That's Vision Quest. Vision Quest is from episode 43 of the MCU. If you go back and look at that, it's also in the comic book from 1997. What kind of nerd are you if that's what you do? Seriously, I feel sorry for you as a human being. I'm going to play beach volleyball today. The rest of those geeks are like looking up, who's that obscure character in that issue that we could talk about? Go live a real life. How about that? Oh, you know I couldn't just get through a stream without hammering the nerds. You knew that wasn't going to happen. All right, so let's get a couple comments in here. On this short stream, as you guys know, these things are tight, and then tonight will go longer and longer as we discuss this. And how do you save it? You know, that's the thing. Bye-bye Feige for sure. I did call this. I called it 6 months ago. We're witnessing the fall of an empire, 100%. This is ruinous, right? This is the end of the MCU that we knew it. It's a complete repudiation of where the MCU is headed. They don't like this stuff, and it is the incels' fault. Well, I'm just telling you, all the dudes in my screening were old white dudes. I don't know if they're incels or not, but they're old white guys. So that's not that I share anything in common with them. Aaliyah, maybe they have a real life as nah, don't be mean. When have I not been mean, Aaliyah? Come on, man. Come on. Slandering Soups is uncles for their nerds and whatever. Let it be. Yeah, okay. Fine, whatever. All right, let's do the top 10. Hindsight is 2020 budget should have been 110 million or less. Well, I mean, it should have been Batgirl. They would have saved money, right? Now you do. This is what we talked about. We talked about them shelving the film to save the MCU. That's what Warner Brothers did with Batgirl. You all like, well, listen, maybe Batgirl was terrible. We don't know. We'll never know. But the point is the damage done to the brand. That's what we are here this morning. We are with damage to the MCU, self-inflicted because you made the film and then you released it when you could have Batgirled it. Which would have been better? Can we just right now answer the question? Which is better? And we'll talk about it tonight. The fact that you would have Batgirled this and no one would be talking about the Marvels other than it was so bad we shelved it, or to have it release and then bomb like this and end up on the cover of every trade saying this thing is a bomb, the worst ever for Marvel. This is the kind of thing that you can't have if you want to continue successfully. You want to keep that bad PR at bay. You do not want it to show itself, and that's what's happening right now this morning, and will continue for the next several days and weeks to come. Is the MCU dead? We were ahead of the curve. We're always ahead of the curve. We're always ahead of the curve. Here's the top 10. Let's do it. Marvel's number one with $47 million. That is under The Flash. Okay, so we all hammered The Flash for bombing. This is way worse. Okay, even though you guys think that the Flash is, first of all, Flash slaughters the Marvels from a film perspective. If you're to put those two in a cage, it's a one-round knockout. Marvels is not a great film. Flash is a very strong film. You guys are so wrong about that. I don't know I think there's personal vendetta action going on with The Flash. It's a much better film than it got credit for. Five Nights at Freddy's, number 2 with only 9 million. Taylor Swift Eras Tour, 5.9. That film is at 172 million stateside. Priscilla is still kind of just hanging in there. You know, it's not doing huge numbers. We knew it wasn't going to do great, but I really expected this to be closer to 10. It's only at 4.7. So this is definitely underperforming for A24 even. Killers of the Flower Moon down 32%. It's at 4.6 this weekend. Total of 59, call it 60. Holdovers, my favorite film of the year. I thought about that. We'll talk about tonight. My favorite films of the year. I got two films I want to discuss. I saw Dream Scenario. I love Dream Scenario. I cannot wait to discuss it tonight, along with All of Us Strangers. Those are two smaller films on the way here for you in the next several weeks. The Holdovers didn't do terribly, 4,000 per screen with 3.2 million, but it's just an adult skewing dramedy, obviously, and it's just not going to do the numbers that they used to do. Unfortunately, those days of those art house films really killing it have been squashed by streaming and people expecting it at home in a few weeks. Journey to Bethlehem only did 2.4 million. That's 1,200 per screen. That's not good. A lot of you guys asking, how's Journey to Bethlehem going to do? It didn't do well. Tiger 3 says opened Saturday. I don't know if that was one thing. Paw Patrol, and then Radical is hanging in there in the 10 spot. So tonight we will discuss, is this the end of the MCU as we knew it? We will break those numbers down. We will discuss again what is the course correction for Kevin Feige as they are in a state of disbelief. They knew this was coming, but I think they still had hopes, right? Even if you think it's going to go down, you have the hope that it will not be as bad as you fear it might be. And unfortunately for MCU, for Disney, this is the worst case scenario. And this is precisely why we said some 6 months ago, right here on MMT, that they should consider Batgirling this film, because if you release it, you end up with what's happened, and that's terrible for the MCU. Tonight, we're back. I might be a little bit late tonight, more like 9 o'clock. I have American Fiction. I might see it tonight. I might see it later this week. If I see it, it'll be later. If not, 8:30. Back here, live from LA for the Sunday Night Spectacular. Until then, peace out. MCU,